What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Counting Wisdom podcast. Before I get started, hey, if you would like to subscribe to this channel, you can do so. I would be greatly appreciated. And I wanted to really touch on what David taught us. And it's found in Psalm 39, verse 4. And it says, Lord, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered, how fleeting my life is. Another one is Psalm 90, verse 12. It says, so teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And so we are to number our days, and I wanted to just talk about that. If you're 20 years old or 30 years old or 40 years old, you could have, 60 years, 50 years, or even 30 years left in your life if you, roughly until you get to, maybe 80 or 90. Or 70, and you're really towards the end of your life. But I guess one of the points that I wanted to make is that, we have to number our days in that we can look at the journey that we have ahead of us. And I think that especially for those of us who can struggle with getting through just one day or 1 week, and we're like, man, I don't know how much more of this I can take. Well, I have a few points in that I think we have to learn how to prepare for this journey, but also know that your journey can shift and get better. I think I have discovered that whenever I have felt very low and very, depressed in a way of feeling like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of life, and we can have those low points in life, but also we can have those high points. And one thing I noticed that I believe is true is that Jesus can change our attitude and how we perceive life, and he can make our journey better. And so this episode is not going to necessarily be on how to make our journey better. I do have a few episodes already kind of around that circumstance, especially in regards to suffering and things like that. But just wanted to state that no, your journey can get better, and you have to know that. And so anyway, I think realizing that, hey, we need to prepare for the long haul. Not that we're saying that Jesus is going to take a long time. I'm talking just from the standpoint of us getting to old age and managing our life. The rapture can happen at any time, and I think we're getting closer and closer to that day for sure. Just from the very fact that, Christ says it's soon. And so every day, technically every day when we wake up and go to sleep and wake up, we're getting closer to that day, of course, and we're getting closer to heaven. But I think just remembering some, practical and natural and biblical techniques for us to, make it to old age and make it to the long haul. Now, we don't know exactly the day of our death, but I'm just talking in a general standpoint of how we could have a number of days left in our life and what we should do. I think, definitely just taking care of ourselves physically is important, but also taking care of ourselves mentally and spiritually are very important. A number of people, even, not necessarily Christian, but even, Christians would say that it's important to take care of yourself physically. It's important to, I think, have a job or something that you're doing, and you're not just wasting your years away sitting in front of the couch or sitting in front of the TV and, kind of just watching time go by, so to speak, and, really just not having any goals or any dreams or aspirations. I think it's important to, try to use the power of God, the power of Jesus Christ, to become a complete, whole, mature person. Not that we are going to be as perfect as we are in heaven, but I think that we should spend time working on ourselves. I think that going to the doctor and listening to what a doctor has to say about, becoming healthy. I think that listening to our pastors and listening to what they say about becoming spiritually healthy, and definitely, listening to the experts in certain parts of life, not necessarily in every part of life. The Bible does warn us that, don't be overwise, where we are trying to learn every type of wisdom out there, because there are some things that are counted as wisdom that, aren't really wise in the sight of God, and Jesus. For example, going after other religions is not wise, because Jesus tells us that he is the only way to heaven, and so, really doing research and different things like that for the sake of, trying to find the right way to heaven. Jesus already gave us the answer that he is the way to heaven. But, just different. That's just one example. But, I think that definitely working on our mental health is very important in regards to, digging our heels in for the long haul. I think definitely, we can address each of these topics. Now, first, for the physical part, I think definitely trying our best to eat healthy, to drink, lots of water as much as we can. I don't drink a whole bunch of water, but I guess I'm just trying to give in general. I drink water with my coffee, of course. I pour water in there with my coffee. Then I'll take a water bottle with me. But those are just some general things, these are just some general things that we know are healthy for us to do. Taking a multivitamin, trying to either diet or exercise, because you can lose weight by fasting, you can, they call it intermittent fasting, or you can lose weight or be healthy by physical exercise, going on walks. I know that I have some, physical challenges, so I don't necessarily lift weights like I used to when I was younger. But, definitely watching my diet, watching what I eat, how much I eat is important. Physically going to the dentist, going to, the doctor for any physical things, which leads us into the mental side of it. I think there are some physical things that we can do for our mental health as well, which is taking care of our brain, making sure that we have balanced chemicals within our brain. Because Jesus when he was tempted in the wilderness, it was a spiritual battle for sure. That was probably 90%. But the Bible did share with us that it was also a bit of a physical problem that Jesus allowed himself to get into, which was he was fasting for 40 days. So he didn't have that nutrition. He didn't have that food within his body and water. And so definitely, this is not going to be, I'm not a nutritionist or, a doctor or something, but just in general, getting some general knowledge about, what it takes to be a healthy individual physically. Now, mental health, I think, carries into our spiritual life as well, mental and physical. Spiritual. And I think definitely, trying to read books, grow your knowledge about certain categories of life, whether that be, history or biology or chemistry or even math, growing your knowledge in that category. But also, I believe an important part of life is, what Paul talked about was having a job. He said that if you don't work, you don't eat. And so, having something that you're doing each day, I think even if for stay-at-home moms, maybe working into your schedule, even a part-time job, or even, something that you can do at your house, maybe starting your own business in some way, like a small business or something that you can do on the side, or gardening, or, different things that you can probably do your research on about how to live a productive life, I think is key in, preparing to number our days and, have a healthy life. And then, of course, spiritually, we want to gather as much wisdom and understanding and life skills from Jesus Christ. We want to apply what Jesus taught us, both in how he lived his life and just the physical things that he taught us in his words, And so we want to learn from Jesus and really examine, carefully the way that the Bible tells us to live. I think spiritually, that's going to help us. I think that, like I always say, on most of my podcasts is, conquering your sin battle. I think overcoming those things that, you are plagued with in regards to sin. I think that you don't want to struggle in the same way years and years and years, knowing that you have, depending on your age, 20 years left or 30 years left or 40 years left. Preparing spiritually. And, Paul talked about how we are running a race. We are running a race to go to the finish line. And he said to fight the good fight of faith. And so we have to hold on to and guard our heart against unbelief and hold on to our faith. We have to fight against, all the voices out there that say, oh, I don't know if there's a God, or I wonder what's out in the universe, or maybe there are aliens who can tell us where they came from and, the key to life. And so, fighting that good fight of faith in Jesus Christ, and that we believe the Bible and we're every day living according to God's will. And I believe God, obviously is going to carry us into these years ahead. And I think definitely, if you haven't already, praying about this topic, praying to God and asking him, God, help me to prepare and number my days, but also prepare for the long haul. Instead of, I think preparing for the long haul can be done in a short-term way. Jesus did say that we should live for each day, that, we shouldn't necessarily worry about tomorrow. But at the same time, changing what we can each day, and getting better to being a whole person in these different areas of life. And so hopefully this was clear. But, I think that when we number our days, like it says in the book of Psalms that I read in the beginning of this podcast, I think that, what does happen is what it says is that we can grow a heart of wisdom and realizing, we can make changes today that can affect our tomorrow. And we know that's true when you put your faith in Jesus Christ, is that we today know that we have eternal life. And so the thing that we do today affects our eternity and reality. And I think even thinking long term past your death is heaven. And I think storing up treasures for yourself in heaven, I think, is very important. Tithing to your church, giving to those in need. Those are some things that the Bible describes as storing up for yourselves treasures in heaven. And so we can even think about, our eternity even today. And so, maybe I'll touch on this topic again and, prepare a little bit better for, some more to-do list of things that we can do to help. But I think also, clearly the Psalm talks about just the first step is to number our days and realize on one hand that, hey, you may have 50 years left or 30 years or 10 years or whatnot. But in reality, our life is, so fleeting. It's so short. And I think, taking that into account that, even though we may perceive as we have a long time ahead before we enter into eternity, I think that Psalm also, the Bible describes our life as being so brief, and realizing that, hey, we can't put off the important parts of life until tomorrow. We have to start working on those things today. And the best part is to put your faith in Jesus Christ and believe in him. And so I will talk to you on the next podcast. Thanks so much. Bye.